The IDF has completed the withdrawal and the clock for the release of the hostages has begun to tick. The ceasefire has entered into force. The army finished dismantling the outposts and the fortifications inside the Gaza Strip, and at 12, the 72-hour countdown began, so the hostages are expected to be released on Monday. The forces will take up positions in new fortifications. The IDF is stating the agreement has entered into force, and Trump may arrive on Monday. According to the agreement, Hamas must release all the hostages by Monday at 12 noon. The story with the Gaza Strip is far from over. This is Yair Pinto on Boots on the Ground with Mati Shoshani. Together we'll bring you all the information about what is happening in Israel. And today we will bring you Trump's ace that brought Hamas to its knees. And Mati Shoshani, our senior Middle East correspondent, will explain how the agreement was signed and why. Significantly, right now, 7 months has passed since Israel launched another operation in Gaza and ended the previous ceasefire, and now another agreement has been signed, which is supposed to be the last one. In a moment, we will bring you the conditions that made it succeed right now and the turnaround that President Trump brought about. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said at this moment that the Hamas terrorist organization will be disarmed and Gaza demilitarized by the easy way or the hard way. If not, by the hard way, and that means more military action. The Israeli Prime Minister delivers a statement after the IDF completed the withdrawal inside Gaza and the countdown to release all of the hostages has begun. IDF forces began a redeployment inside the Gaza Strip, and according to the map published by Trump, the forces will take up positions on about 50% of the Strip's territory. According to Trump's plan, IDF forces withdrew towards the yellow line inside the Gaza Strip in the eastern part and also in the northern parts of Gaza City, and at 12 Israel time, the army announced that the forces had taken up the updated deployment lines. The IDF spokesperson's unit in Arabic, Colonel Avichai Deri, addressed the residents of the Gaza City area regarding the ceasefire, and after IDF soldiers took up the updated deployment lines. Deri warns, amongst other things, that one must not approach the IDF forces. The terrorist organization is trying to show it has the upper hand. And Hamas is stating, we are preparing to deploy in the areas of the Israeli withdrawal. And in the terrorist organization, they seek to convey a message that they still maintain a grip on the Gaza Strip and the Palestinian people in Gaza. Now, it can be told what Trump's envoys told El-Sisi at the height of the drama in Egypt. We'll share about that later. And a senior American official revealed new details about the contacts between the United States President representatives with the various parties in this region. Chaos in the Gaza Strip is taking place. The clans inside Gaza are launching an assault against the Hamas terrorist organization and their members. And we will bring you all the details about this. And of course, we will bring you the information about what comes next after the hostage return home. We will talk about the big unknowns in this agreement between Israel and Hamas, what the deep Turkish involvement means, the Peace Council, the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip, who will pay for all of this and who will profit from it, where the Gazans live, how is it determined that Hamas, the terrorist organization, will be disarmed, the Israeli withdrawal, the coordination with the Arab armies around this area, and more. These are the issues that the agreement between Israel and Hamas has not yet answered, and the problems that may arise from this are big. One heartbreaking tragedy already took place. An IDF fighter was shot to death while getting ready to return to Israel. So, a lot is ahead of us, but let's dive into the details. I'm Yair Pinto, and this is your Boots on the Ground report, reporting on what is happening in Israel, and this is day 734 of the war against Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis in Yemen, the militias in Iraq, and the terrorist organizations in Judea and Samaria. All of them are under the control of the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps. And now, I want to hand over the broadcast to the person who will take us into the details, Mati Shoshani. Over to you.
Indeed, these are historic days that are ahead of us. US President Donald Trump announced overnight that Israel and the Hamas terror organization approved the hostage deal. And according to the office of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the first stage of the agreement was signed yesterday morning, which was Thursday, in Egypt. And at 1:20 a.m. Israel time, the Israeli government gave its final approval. And with approval of the agreement to return the hostages and end the war in Gaza, IDF forces completed at noon today, Friday, Israel time, the withdrawal to the agreed upon lines, and thus began the 72-hour countdown that Hamas has to return the hostages under this agreement. In a swift operation, the IDF worked through the night and this morning to extract its forces from Gaza City and from several focal points and neighborhoods in Rafah, Khan Yunis, and elsewhere, and redeployed along the Yellow Line, which is west of the 70-80 ridge in the Gaza Strip. Some of the forces, amongst which are the 401 Brigade, the 188th, Givati, and Nachal brigades, moved to assembly areas in Gaza envelope and will undergo refreshment. At exactly 12, the IDF announced the ceasefire officially went into effect, marking the start of the first phase of ending this war. IDF spokesperson Brigadier General Efi Defrin said, "Hamas was defeated everywhere we fought it." And let me explain briefly what this means. IDF forces that until a few hours ago held about 75% of the Gaza Strip pulled back to a posture holding roughly only 50% in a massive project, an enormous logistical effort by Southern Command. Thousands of infrastructures of various types were all dismantled in the past 24 hours. Industrial generators, antennas, troop housing, surveillance means, fighting positions, and many more. Hundreds of trucks, bulldozers, and engineering vehicles took part in the logistical operation. And by midday, IDF forces had taken up new defensive positions in a thickened buffer area close to the border. Now, according to testimonies of officers in Southern Command, at least 2 of the new outposts being established near the border are farther east than the Yellow Line shown on maps published by the political echelon. The IDF, as a professional body, has so far not commented on the withdrawal line, and by order of the political leadership that's done. There are at least 2 new outposts whose corrected location, apparently at Hamas's demand, is not on the main north-south axis of the Gaza Strip, Tanshir, but rather on the 70 ridge closer to the border. This is the area parallel to Kibbutz Be'eri in the northern strip, where until yesterday, the Netzarim bisecting axis ran. Last night, the IDF spokesperson reported that a Hamas terrorist cell was struck in the northern strip after operating near forces and posing an imminent threat. At least 2 terrorists were eliminated, and reports in the strip spoke of dozens missing following the strike. Additionally, earlier yesterday, a fighter from Golani's 13th Battalion was seriously wounded in an operational accident on the strip's border. The IDF's Arabic language spokesperson, Lieutenant Colonel Avichai Edley, addressed the residents of the Gaza Strip regarding the ceasefire, after IDF soldiers took up their updated staging lines. Edley warned, among other things, not to approach IDF forces, that approaching the areas of Bet Hanun, Bet Lahiyeh, Shoeja, and force deployment zones is extremely dangerous. It is also dangerous, he indicated. Hold on, I have a problem with my camera, just a second. We're going to continue. Guys, if you questioned yourself if this is live or not, here it is. So it's also dangerous to approach the Rafah crossing, the Philadelphia route, and deployment areas in Khan Yunis. It's forbidden to approach Israeli territory and the buffer zone. The policy and mechanisms of Hamas's Ministry of Interior and National Security announced today, which is Friday, that they're preparing to deploy in areas from which the IDF has begun withdrawing in the Gaza Strip. The terror organization seeks to send a message that it still maintains a grip on the Strip, no pun intended. At the head of Hamas's internal security mechanism stands Tawqif Tawfiq, Abu Naim, who was not eliminated. During this war, more than 30 commanders and seniors in those mechanisms were all eliminated. Hours before the ceasefire took effect, the IDF spokesperson permitted for publication this morning, Friday again, the name of an IDF fallen in the fighting in the Strip, Staff Sergeant in Reserves Michael Mordechai Nachmani, 26 years old, from Dimona, a technology and maintenance fighter in the 614th Combat Engineering Battalion, who was killed by sniper fire on the outskirts of the Shati refugee camp in Gaza City. Now look, the Hamas terror organization simply does not appear eager to go. It is trying with all its might to gain legitimacy. Now let me talk to you for a few minutes and explain why Hamas is viewing this deal, or how it's viewing this deal. And I want to give you an understanding of what's really happening on the ground. Hamas, for the past 2 years, has been pummeled by endless attacks by Israeli forces. Much or almost all of its leadership, both in Israel and outside of the country, has been eliminated time after time. In fact, there was a running joke, and skits even came out earlier in the war about the fact that no one wanted those leadership roles simply because of the fact that they were assassinated so quickly. Now, Hamas enters into this negotiation after weeks of intense pressure, unbelievable pressure from every front, from the Qataris, from the Saudis, from the Egyptians, from Israel, of course, on a military level, and from the United States. And all of them are pressing them to take the deal. The sense is that the United States government has set a very short, incredibly short timeline to bring a deal to fruition. And that's what we're experiencing right now. Guys, remember, we've been here before. We've been at this point of almost having an agreement. We've been at the point of almost getting the hostages back. We've been at the point of almost having a ceasefire, but it was always just that, almost. And that's what changed now. Immense pressure, unbelievable pressure on Hamas to end this war. And when you factor into that the fact that the IDF has mostly destroyed most of the fighting forces, and definitely the organized fighting forces of Hamas in the Gaza Strip in the past, well, just short of 2 years of maneuvering in the Gaza Strip, that gives you a glimpse into why they took this deal. There's a carrot at the end of this too, which is they might be able to present this, and they're trying to, as a win for them. And they might, and they're trying to do this too, might be able to escape some of their leadership and get them out of Gaza. So on multiple fronts, this is a good deal and a bad deal for everyone involved, as deals should be. And Hamas, in this case, are taking it with both hands. They want to be able to make it out of this alive, especially their leadership. And importantly, Israel is continuing to fight them until the moment that the hostages return home. And if you add into that the fact that all their benefactors, the Turks and the Qataris and anyone else who in the past supported them, every one of them is saying, guys, you have to take this deal. There will be no other deal. There will be no other opportunity. Now is the time to take it. That's when you understand why Hamas is moving forward. And that brings us to this historic moment that we're in, a moment in which Hamas and Israel and multiple other countries led by the US are aligning in a deal that's about to take fruit. Just on my way into the studio this afternoon, I glimpsed the trucks already setting the stage, setting up the flags on the main route, highway route into Jerusalem for the expected visit of President Donald Trump. That's how expectant the people in Israel are. That's how high the excitement is. That's how much this deal is important. Now, guys, before we continue to get into all the details of the agreement and what awaits us in the coming days, we're here live on Boots on the Ground, bringing you the whole truth about what is happening in Israel. And you keep spreading the truth. Share, leave a like, and don't forget to click the subscribe button so you stay tuned to the truth in real time. And I want you to see the details of the deal. In the draft resolution that was presented to the members of the Security Political Cabinet, as part of the agreement between Israel and Hamas, Israel will receive the 20 living hostages in one tranche, and the hostage bodies in several different phases. On the other side, Israel will release 250 security prisoners, and the prisoner, Marwan Barghouti, will not be amongst them. The agreement we discussed this evening, or last evening, I should say, on Thursday, in Israel at a cabinet meeting, is expected to be approved in the government meeting to be held immediately afterwards. So what does Israel commit to in this deal? Israel will release 250 security prisoners. We will also release 1,700 residents of the Gaza Strip who were not involved in the events of October 7th and were arrested after the massacre. 22 minors under 18, residents of the Gaza Strip who were not involved in the events of October 7th and were arrested after the massacre will also be released. 360 bodies of terrorists will be returned. A security prisoner convicted of murder, of manufacturing weapons used for murder, or of direct involvement in organization or dispatching an assailant who carried out deadly attacks will also be released only to Gaza Strip or abroad. In addition, that terrorist will be banned from entering Israel and Judea and Samaria immediately. So here are the red lines. Heavy security prisoners will not be released, including Marwan and Abdullah Barghouti, Abbas al-Said and Ahmed Sadat. The bodies of brothers, excuse me, I'm having problems with my camera again, just a sec. Okay, I think we should be good. Sorry guys, if you're asking if we're live, we're really live. The bodies of brothers Yihya and Muhammad Sinwar will not be returned. Nukhba terrorists with blood on their hands from October 7th will not be released. Terrorists will not be released to Judea and Samaria. As stated, under the agreement, Hamas is supposed to release all the hostages, including the living hostages who will be released in one tranche on Sunday or on Monday, as we report during the night, or reported last night, I mean. Additionally, per the understanding, there will be no release ceremonies as Hamas has done in the past. Now, let me remind you, this is the first stage of the deal. It's important I clarify something. Only after the hostages return will the terrorists imprisoned in Israel be released. About 2,000 prisoners, including 250 serving life sentences. At the last minute, government ministers were asked to approve swapping 11 Fatah prisoners for Hamas prisoners. And meanwhile, the prison service is preparing to prevent cheering and celebrations during the release. Most of the terrorists will be concentrated in Ketzion prison near the Strip's border. I think it's Ketziot, sorry, I mispronounced that name. It's Ketziot prison next to the border. Those expelled to Judea and Samaria in Othel prison. And some will be sent to Gaza or abroad. We'll continue to report on every development on this matter. Now keep spreading the truth, share, and follow us. And most importantly, don't forget to click the subscribe button so you will stay tuned to the truth in real time and never miss boots on the ground. Now, as Israel nears almost 2 years of war, our brave and battered Holocaust survivors are suffering like never before. These men and women endured history's darkest chapter, and now, in their final years, many face poverty, loneliness, and fear. 1 in 3 survivors in Israel lives in poverty. Many are over 90 years old, struggling with serious medical needs. And since October 7th, most say their quality of life has collapsed. They sit in cold, empty apartments, often without safe rooms, as sirens wail. Meir Panim is a lifeline. Every day, 2,200 survivors receive hot meals and deliveries. Hundreds are cared for in the centers where we celebrate holidays like family. And now this holiday season, with your help, we will deliver 30,000 holiday pantry boxes, 25,000 meals and care packages, and 2 million shekels in grocery carts, so survivors can shop with dignity. Now together, we can bring them warmth, nourishment, and the sweetness of a new year. Please go to blessisrael.org and bless Israel's survivors today. Let me say that again. Go to blessisrael.org and bless Israel's survivors today. Now, guys, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, said that the hostages will be released on Monday or on Tuesday, and said he agreed to the request to address the Knesset, after which the details of his visit to Israel were finalized. Now, alongside Finland's President Alexander Stubb, Trump said he will likely depart the United States on Sunday, and as of now, preparations are for his arrival in Israel on Monday, landing around 9:30 a.m. Israel time. At Ben Gurion Airport, there will be a compact reception for Trump, and the brief ceremony will include short remarks by the American president, Israel's President Isaac Herzog, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. From there, the American president's entourage will lead to the Knesset, where he will meet Netanyahu and families of hostages. And after that, Herzog will address the Knesset plenum. And at the end, Trump will return to the airport and depart Israel at around 2 p.m. The visit to Israel will last a total of about 4.5 hours. Last night, Knesset Speaker Amir Ohana sent an official letter to Trump with an invitation to address the Knesset. Today is a historic day, Ohana wrote. Your leadership, your courage, your resolve, and your vision led not only to a deal that guarantees the release of all Israeli hostages abducted by Hamas on October 7th, but also to an unprecedented agreement accepted by nearly all Middle Eastern countries. Per the original plan, Trump was supposed to address the Knesset on Sunday and likely also visit the Western Wall. But with the change, these are not finalized. Look, I want to raise something here. The current deal cannot be disconnected from the international context. Around the world, and in the White House in particular, there is a general sense of exhaustion with the war in the Gaza Strip. And Israel is in dangerous and unprecedented diplomatic isolation. In addition, Trump, who entered office at the start of the previous deal, had major regional plans for the Middle East, and he was sure he could advance them even without the war's end. Before him, Joe Biden repeatedly claimed that Hamas launched the October 7th attack to thwart exactly such a regional arrangement between Israel and Saudi Arabia. And now, ending the war and likely some Israeli commitments to a pathway to a Palestinian state may bring normalization with Riyadh, another important aspect. Trump feels personal commitment to the hostage families, first to the American ones, but to all of them as well. His confidants say he became deeply attached to their stories, and the meetings with them and with the survivors of captivity shook him. There's also a deep connection and apparently very deep cooperation between him and Israel's Prime Minister, Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu. The president and his team tried to analyze, I'm off center here, tried to analyze and understand who could truly persuade Hamas to bring about an end to the war. The terror organization's main patron, Qatar, tried in various ways for a year and 10 months, but did not deliver. Then the answer emerged: Turkey's president, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, and one offer he could not refuse. Trump's offer to Erdogan, the man who has backed Hamas since October 7th and has attacked Israel and Netanyahu in the harshest terms, Israel and Netanyahu in the harshest terms, was simple. You bring Hamas, and I will get you F-35s and F-16s. Cancel the sanctions on Turkey, allow it to bring humanitarian aid via Israel, and involve it in a plan to rebuild Gaza. In effect, Trump offered Erdogan what he wanted most: a seat at the table, to be regarded henceforth as a regional leader, after Israel had rejected any Turkish involvement for 2 full years. Now, in Israel, they would, of course, prefer that Trump also rein in Erdogan and his incitement against Israel. But many see his entry into the picture as a factor that tipped the scales truly. Now, the Turks proved they have immense influence over Hamas, and in fact forced Hamas's leadership's hand by joining the pressure on it. Erdogan dispatched Turkey's intelligence chief, Ibrahim Kalin, who also holds the Israel portfolio in Turkey, on this mission, and he knew how to speak to Hamas's leadership. A kind of ultimatum was presented to the terrorist organization. If you do not say yes to Trump's plan, you are finished. You will be expelled from Doha and from Istanbul, and you will be pariahs in almost the entire Arab world. Israel has already proven that being in Iran is not safe. This is essentially your last chance to save yourselves. On the other hand, the terror organization also received a promise. If you agree now, there is an American guarantee that Qatar and Turkey that this time Israel will not renew fire after the hostages are released. And in effect, the US president, who hates wars, paid cash to Qatar, Turkey, and apparently also Egypt, and in return received a diplomatic belt of fire on Hamas, which simply could no longer keep playing games. For the terror organization, it was do or die. And thus, the goal Trump set for himself to force Hamas to say yes succeeded. Now listen, guys, I must add my analysis of what is likely to happen in the very near future. Now, I want to break this down. There's a lot that is going on around us. And the next couple days are the make or break days of everything that's happening around us. 2 years of war, 7 fronts of combat are all culminating to these next days. And if on Monday the hostages are released, we're looking at a history in the making, a dramatic change, transformation of the Middle East, something that could truly change everything around us. Just fixing something here on the camera. It could change everything around us in a way that we didn't see coming. It's the combination of the war in Gaza, the end of the war with Lebanon, with Syria, with the Houthis possibly, and even a weakening of Iran. That's all happening at once. And that is nothing short of historical. That's nothing short of incredible. That is nothing short of history in the making, in the most dramatic sense of that word. And the next couple of days are going to go one of 2 ways. We're going to get the hostages back, all 20, or I don't know what the exact numbers are in the agreement, and no one does at this point, but let's say almost all of the hostages back within the end of day on Monday, or full war once again. But I believe, and I think with the pressure of the Qataris, the Turks, the US, and other countries in this region, I believe that could all happen now. And that is amazing. Guys, this is historical. This is unique. This is a unique moment in time. What we're looking at in the next couple of days could truly reshape this region. Sorry, I stopped for a sip of tea. It's getting cold out here on the TBN studio. This could shape the Middle East that we know for the years to come. For 20 years, even possibly more than that, we could be living in a different Middle East than what we've lived in up till now, with a stabilized Gaza Strip, a rebuilding and rehabilitation of the Palestinian Authority, a stabilized and rebuilt Lebanon, a stabilized Syria that has no more civil war after 15 years of civil war, incentive packages for the Jordanians, for the Egyptians, for the Qataris on multiple fronts. They already got their best part of the deal, which is the U.S. commitment to safeguard them and fight alongside them or protect them in the case of an attack. And of course, also the Saudis and the Turks. Everyone wins in this story except for Hamas and Iran. And that's the way that it should be. Everyone in this Middle East deserves something better than this. And Iran and Hamas need to be removed and blotted out from the books of history. There should be an afterthought as an evil that was and passed. And we, ladies and gentlemen, might be witnessing that in the days to come. We might go to sleep tonight, wake up on Sunday to find President Trump in Israel speaking and hostages lining trucks and vehicles and helicopters flying back into Israel. Guys, we've been praying for this for 2 years now, and we're about to see this happen. Let's keep praying. Let's keep hoping and believing that now is that time. So be sure that we here at TBN Israel will be here to bring you every detail, day by day, live, straight from the field. Stay with the truth, keep spreading the truth, and of course, click the subscribe button. I'm handing the broadcast back to Yair Pinto to offer a heartfelt prayer for all of us. Now back to you, Yair Pinto.
So we will continue to report on every development in this matter. Keep spreading the truth. Thank you, Mati Shoshani, for this update. And we will continue to report on every development in this matter. Make sure to subscribe to TBN Israel YouTube channel. And the most important thing that you should do is pray for the situation. Pray for the hostages to be released. Pray for wisdom to our leaders, to your leaders, to all the leaders involved in this very, very complex situation. Make sure that you pray for the peace of Jerusalem.